This series is absolutely incredible. I just binged reading 20 plus chapters. I had to mentally stop myself from continuing forward for I could sit down and do this video, because that is just how much I enjoyed reading this series, Act Age. This is something. It is definitely a standout manga. It's definitely something that I could see why it has been recommended to me quite a bit over the past few months to almost a year now. And man, what have I been doing not actually looking into this series and reading it, because this is quite a unique story. So this series is in Weekly Shonen Jump, and I know many already probably know what Weekly Shonen Jump is, but there is always some out there that might not be aware of it or what Weekly Shonen Jump is. So to kind of name a few series to make sure everybody's on the same page, you know, Weekly Shonen Jump has One Piece, My Hero Academia, Hunter x Hunter. You know, it's had quite a few iconic series over the years, like, you know, Naruto, Bleach, Toriko. So, I mean, it's kind of obvious that when you think of what type of series Weekly Shonen Jump has, you would normally think of a battle shonen. You would think of something that is meant for boys and all that are basically about fighting, action. Sometimes there could be mind games like Through the Promised Neverland, or you can have something really quirky and different like Dr. Stone in Weekly Shonen Jump. But overall, when it comes to Weekly Shonen Jump, usually you mainly expect some form of like battle shonen, etc. And there is usually some things that in recent times has really gone to push the norm, really has shaken up what Weekly Shonen Jump really is now, the image that it has. And like I said, if you go back, let's say 5 years or so, you would see a very different Weekly Shonen Jump to the, you know, Weekly Shonen Jump we have today. Today's Weekly Shonen Jump has basically Dr. Stone, which, as we all know, is very unique for a manga within the magazine. The Promised Neverland, it kind of rekindles those fans of Death Note, but is still very unique and different, which doesn't rely on fights, etc., and fancy power-ups and all that to be able to actually progress the story, make people actually interested in it. And now we have stuff like this. We have, you know, this series right here, Act Age, that is in Weekly Shonen Jump, which really goes to push the mold once again of what really can be in Weekly Shonen Jump in this day and age. So I've kept you waiting long enough. For those that are tuning into this video and have no idea what Act Age is, I'm going to kind of clarify on what it is, should you read it, are you going to be interested in it, etc. So honestly, I've really never encountered anything quite like this at all while reading a manga. There is a few series that come to mind, but when it comes to manga and when it comes to stuff like in Weekly Shonen Jump, I don't think I have ever seen a series quite like Act Age, and I'm going to get into kind of what it's about. So, if you know about acting, you know the profession, which is actors, actresses, you know, doing a play for a movie, etc. You know, the iconic movies. If any of you out there have ever watched a film, which I know almost everybody has, then you know what an actor is. You know what an actress is. You know how people get into a role of a character. That's basically what this is. That's exactly what Act Age is, which the title kind of gives it away. But there is a lot more going on than just that simple description, that the characters are actresses or actors. There's so much more, in fact, that honestly, it blew me away while reading the first 21 chapters, up to 23. I actually read a few chapters over, but I mean, I read 23 chapters. I read the entirety of the first arc for Act Age, and it is definitely something that just stands out. Now, when you think of acting and all that, acting, it might not be the most interesting topic for a manga. I'm not trying to put down anyone that's into acting or performing, etc., but when you think about manga, you wouldn't really think something like that would really interest you or really be kind of a big, you know, I guess attention grabber for a large audience in Weekly Shonen Jump, but that clearly doesn't seem to be the case. It seems like Act Age has definitely found its own niche, but also has definitely garnered quite a large fan base, honestly, which I'm very happy for. I'm really happy for Act Age because it definitely is a phenomenal series. So, to really talk about why this is interesting and kind of why it stood out through, you know, being a story kind of about actors and actresses, it's about our main female character, Yonagi, that is an individual that is having to take care of her brother and sister, her younger siblings. And basically, to get into it, if you know about any shonen series at all, most likely you would be very aware that most shonen don't have parents in the picture. And the reason for that is because most of the time, parents within a story, let's say something like, Naruto, Bleach, etc., parents typically get in the way. They get in the way of the characters really going out of the norm and doing things that otherwise really good parents wouldn't like. So usually in shonen you either have, let's say, a bad parent, Goku, or someone like, Jin in Hunter x Hunter, or you have a parent that's completely non-existent and not even there. That's basically something that has become the very norm, because parents do get in the way of story writing, especially for, young boys or women, going out and, adventuring, going on dangerous missions, etc. It's not something that really good parents or family would want to see happen with their child. So most of the time, like I said, series kind of cut out parents completely. And it seems like Act Age has went that route with trying to remove parents from the story, not to really have anything get in the way of said character. But the point is, though, this time around, it's a little bit different. And it's not the typical cliche, because most of the time, like I said, parents are removed to get out of the way of the main character, or the main characters. But this time, you have it to where the parents not being there is actually in the way of the main character, Yonagi. And what I mean by that is Yonagi is having to take care of her siblings. Her siblings are very young, but she's at that threshold to where she has to give up her dreams to be able to take care of her family, to be able to take care of her younger siblings, because they don't have any parents in their life. The mother is dead, while the father up and left and, is not even in their life in the first place. Later on, you do get to find out that the father is apparently sending money, but Yonagi doesn't want anything to do with it, because there obviously is some complicated issues between, Yonagi and the family with the father, which is understandable. But the point, though, is that Yonagi was in a very difficult situation. She is someone that, is at the point where she had to give up her dream. Does she continue to pursue to be an actress, or does she give it up just so she can, support her family? And obviously, at the beginning of the story, the first couple chapters, it seems like she will probably have to give that up. But obviously, that didn't really turn out like that, because then we wouldn't have a story. So she did get a chance. She got a chance to be able to be an actress, which really showed what type of person she is and how scary she is in reality. And I want to get into that in just a second, but the overall premise is very distinct, because even though many probably have seen this type of premise where a character's having to take care of their family because their parents are gone, etc., it's not necessarily common within Weekly Shonen Jump, and it is something that I really do want to mention because it is very important, because this series does try to not be a typical story that you can really guess what's going to happen left and right. It does stand out. So getting into the character, Yonagi, our main female character, the MC of this story. Why is she scary? Why is she someone that stands out? Honestly, what makes her so scary is that she mixes fantasy and reality. And it's something that I think any good actor/actress might have problems with. It is definitely something I have seen throughout my years of watching movies. I'm no, let's say, movie connoisseur where I know everything about actors, etc. I'm not going to say I am. But I know for a fact there is actors out there that do go the extra mile to really become said character. And one of the roles that really stand out to me when it comes to this little trait is anyone that plays the Joker. This is a character I've talked about quite often, not just because of the recent movie that came out, but throughout the years of me being on YouTube, I've always mentioned how I really loved Heath Ledger's Joker in The Dark Knight. It's something that really stood out to me and really just made me ponder, how far did he go in becoming the Joker? Did he truly feel like he became the Joker? And that's kind of what Yonagi as a character is. She is someone that you could see she clearly is mixing fantasy and reality, and when she plays a certain role, she becomes said character. Not just trying to act like them, but literally in her mind, she truly does become those characters, and that fantasy is her reality, which is why the Joker is so relevant, because Joker is a dark role. It is a role that I think is super hard to play if someone really is a good actor. If you're a good actor and you play the role Joker, it's going to mess with you, because it is such a dark role. To get in character with the Joker could really mess with you mentally. And I think that that's kind of where I'm really liking Act Age, is that the main female character is something that reminds me of certain individual actors that I really love that I've seen throughout movies, for instance, Heath Ledger. And it does concern me, though, because with Yonagi as a character and how she clearly has issues when it comes to that, it can lead to some dangerous situations, which we see throughout the journey of the first 20 chapters, is that she, because of how far she goes for her acting role and how she believes fantasy is reality, she will literally be within a role that has to, like, let's say, run from a killer, and when she jumps to be able to go into a body of water, normally there would be a cut right there to where there could be a stunt double come in and jump into the water, but Yonagi gets so into character that she truly believes she's running, and she jumps into a, water below off a cliff, which is just extremely dangerous and scary. And just FYI, stunt doubles and, people that are stuntmen are very important in today's society, because if an actor or actress gets injured, that really just spells curtains for the entire project most of the time. Like, example, let's use a good example. Let's say someone like, I guess Samuel L. Jackson. He was someone that was in a role and he decided to go overboard, got into his role too much, and he broke his legs. And he messed up his face somehow. If he messed up his face and his legs, he wouldn't be able to perform a role like walking or anything, which completely destroys the movie. Because if, let's say they recorded already, multiple hours of footage and they pretty much are at the threshold right at the end of the movie, having the actor kind of ruin his legs in the middle of the movie or towards the end can spell curtains for the entire project, because having to wait for, let's say, actor or actress to heal up takes a very long time. Healing from a broken leg takes a long time. I know that Shonen like to say otherwise, like manga and stuff and fantasy stories, but healing from broken bones, legs, or messed up wounds, etc. is not something that just, disappears. So because of that, stunt doubles and actresses need to have people fill in for them. And Yonagi, obviously, she goes overboard. She gets into the role so much that she doesn't even rely on a stunt double. She does things all on her own, which could be very dangerous. Which is where the climax of the first arc kind of leads to, is the fact that there was this typhoon coming in on this island that they were recording on, and this very crucial role that Yonagi was having, they decided to go with it with one major cut, and if this cut was not done, the movie was basically going to have to be canned. There was just no way that they were really going to be able to continue and finish the movie on time. So you had it to where this typhoon, this real-life typhoon was going on, and they were recording in the middle of it, and the whole scene, what it actually was about, was that Yonagi had to give up her life. She was going to sacrifice herself to save the main character of the movie, which was being played by Chiyoko. I believe that is her name. But basically, she is a character that was the MC. She's, I guess, the other main character of the story, which I'll get into her in a second. But she was the MC of this movie, and basically, it's a death game. That's all you really need to know to give kind of like a summary. It's a death game, people are killing each other, and they're like kind of like the final people left, and Yonagi will sacrifice her life for Chiyoko can live. And in that one moment when the typhoon was going on, something unexpected happened, something that wasn't according to the script. You had it to where water started coming in, and Chiyoko started getting dragged away. The main character of the movie started getting dragged away by the water. And once again, this is not acting, this is legit real life. This was going on because of a typhoon. You had it to where Yonagi came in, grabbed her, threw her out of the water, and she started to go back in the stream, and literally her life, her real life, was in danger. Not her actor self, but her real life was in danger because the water was dragging her away. But even in those moments, while she was in that danger, she still decided to play her very role, which goes into some of the craziness about her character, is that once again, she thinks fantasy is reality. So in that moment, she truly was feeling like she was laying down her life, and she felt that. And emotions were running high, and it made it to where the actress, which was, Chiyoko, she was someone that actually feared that, Yonagi was about to die, because she was literally being dragged away, and this was not an act. And the emotions in that really had an amazing, feel to them, and the director that was recording it, etc., the cameraman, they got it, but it was very likely that that entire scene could have been ruined, but also a death could have happened. So it, once again, just goes to show that our main female character is crazy, and I like how far she goes to really do a role for a story. And this is kind of one of the reasons why I liked, Heath Ledger's Joker, kind of how he made certain scenes, he added it into the story that wasn't even there in the first place. I respect stuff like that. It's scary, but I do respect that. So Yonagi as a character really stands out. She's like a wild beast or a bulldozer that cannot be controlled whatsoever. So, with that, let's get into the other main character, which is Chiyoko. Once again, hopefully I'm saying her name right, hopefully I'm remembering her name right. If I'm not, please forgive me. But Chiyoko as a character, she is another can of beans. Like, she is something that is messed up almost just as badly as Yonagi. Now, Yonagi, even though she technically is definitely more openly crazy because of how she acts and how she thinks everything is real, Chiyoko is one that disconnects herself from a film to such an extent that she has disconnected her life from everything else as well, which is extremely scary because it's kind of like the opposite of Yonagi, but the overall direction that their mentalities can go is very similar. Example, like I said, Yonagi, she could get injured, she could die, while someone like Chiyoko, she could become incredibly sad, depressed, and eventually want to end it all because she's living so many lives and she's disconnected from her main life that she's not even her anymore. And that's kind of what I got from her character, is that she was someone that was always wearing masks. She was always putting on a fake face. She never really had her own face, her own personality, her own person, and so she always just was constantly putting on a mask to hide who she really was, and in the grand scheme of things, it really was nothing, because she became so disconnected from her main self that nobody really could see her. Not even Yonagi could really see who Chiyoko really was. And as, the entire movie was going on, once again, Yonagi kind of awoken emotions in her, and she kind of started to do very things that Yonagi was doing. For instance, going out of her way and thinking that fantasy is reality, and that's what she was doing towards the end of that because of the whole dangerous situation with the typhoon, which really allowed Chiyoko to kind of open up finally and become someone that isn't just a doll, isn't someone that's just to be put there in a film to just stand out but not be her own self as well. It's like she didn't really get connected with her character. She never really became those characters. She just was disconnected. And I do really think that the ways they go about their acting is different. It's very distinct. But I do think that Chiyoko's way of acting is also extremely dangerous as well. Even though it's kind of undermined a little bit, not really talked about much in comparison to Yonagi's, I do think Chiyoko's acting is dangerous, mentally. But, yeah, that's my thoughts on Act Age. It's a fantastic read I've read so far. I'm going to continue reading it, but I like it. I like what I saw. I know that, this has been requested a few times, and I'm glad that I finally can get around to reading it and see, what I would feel about it, and you guys get to see, like, how I feel about it. I'm just happy. I'm happy I got to read it. So I think I want to wrap up this video here. I enjoyed it, though. I'm gonna say, I enjoyed it, but, yeah. I love you guys. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. And with that, Chibi out.